Welcome player to WarpGriT Arena. I'm the AI Collective and will guide you through the basics of the game. First, select your Warpgrifter. Each comes with 4 unique ability cards, special traits, and extra assortment. Now grab your starting kit. The player sheet, the player board, NPC health sheet, the credit card, 5 shield dice, 5 attack dice, 5 compass dice, 2 coordination dice, 1 R.A.A.D die, EXP die, clear cube token, kinetic ammo, the handgun, the stun baton, the 4 standard action card, loot, utility, run and dodge, 1 tactic melee attack card, 2 handgun attack cards, and the R.A.A.D deck. Then take your player spawn portal token with corresponding color and choose a static hex on the board map as your starting position. Now set the station's self-destruct time at 30 minutes, plus all competing Warpgrifters' total level divided by 2, rounded up. In WarpGriT, a game round consists of a section of different phases. Starting with the action setup phase. During this phase you will be setting up a chain of actions that will resolve over a series of turns. These actions are known as turn action, support action, continues action, focused action, or instant action. Turn actions are your main actions, and they are resolved when revealed during the action phase. Support actions enhances another turn action. Continues actions are kept in play throughout game rounds. Focused action are turn actions with the cost of canceling your next action. Instant actions can be played outside of the setup phase during the action phase. Alright player, gather your grit and get ready to warp in. Time to have a look at the player zone. Take an armor and shield tracking die, then set their value according to your Warpgrifter's starting stats. Now check their starting tech upgrade and mark it in the player sheet. Marauders start with Grit Tech, which gives him 2 extra armor value and 1 more attack card during reload. Let's begin. Start with choosing this round's new temporary nanotech. Good pick player, Neurofy will let you play focused actions without the cost of sacrificing your next action. Before choosing up to 2 action cards to play as your action setup, let's look at the board. You could potentially be able to grab some loot if you play your cards right. See the loot symbol in the middle of the room. It is 2 hexes away from your starting position, which means you only need 2 in movement value to get there. You could choose to use your run card, which gives you 4, but since we only need 2, we could also use the extra action icon walk on any non-movement card instead. When setting up an action, use the compass dice to direct which hex side the action's path will take. Look at the game board's compass as a reference. This is known as the face value. Then use your coordination dice to point out where on that path. This represents what will happen on your first turn, and the next card represents the second turn. When playing cards without extra action icons, play them face down. Since there are no enemy NPCs on the board, we will skip to reveal movement phase. Every player who uses a movement card reveals them and resolves it by repositioning their characters. When all movements are resolved, other action cards for that turn are revealed and resolved as well. Your loot action lets you take a loot token of corresponding room level by placing a WarpGriT token on the board's loot symbol. Room levels are indicated by the wall's light. White equals level 1, green equals level 2, blue equals level 3, orange equals level 4. When there are no more actions to resolve, the action phase ends. If you're occupying a room without a player spawn portal, draw an event card. Check rooms with a Warpgrifter in it, 4 unmarked WarpGriT symbols in the room panel, and place a standard token on it. Then spin the NPC Spawn spinner. Keep spinning for every spawn plate. The NPC nearest to the arrow with the same level as the room level is spawned on the enemy spawn plate nearest to the player. Take the NPC stand with corresponding number to a NPC health sheet in your player zone. Then lock the doors by placing orange laser locks on every connected doors to that room. You can now trade in any shop token or loot token you have. When trading in a loot token, roll the loot dice. Results of 1 to 3 equals to the amount of cards drawn from the loot deck, while 4 to 6 equals nothing. After you've drawn and looked at the cards, put them back at the bottom of the loot deck. Take the corresponding cards items from the shop. If the shop is out of stock, then draw another card from the loot deck. The torso, when equipped, will give you extra protection, and the trophy is your means to victory if you manage to escape with it. Put the items in your inventory. You can hold up to 5 items at the beginning. Move your action cards to the discard pile and return the compass and direction dice to your player zone. Remember to first choose your T.N technology. Smart move. Blood Rush gives you an extra maximum action this turn. When attacking, the red arrow on the card represents Warpgrifter's face value and the highlighted hexes are the attack's hit zones. The colored hexes on ranged attack cards refers to the level of the weapon item. Utilize one of the ability cards to get some extra tactical advantage this turn. The tactic melee attack lets you move before attack resolves. When resolving an attack, look at the corresponding weapon item's attack dice icon. The tactic melee gets 4 attack dices. The weapon damage stats corresponds to the d6 dice values, where the value 1 represents the first value to the left and then continuing in ascending order to the value 6 at the end on the right. You rolled 1, 6, 4, and 2 for a total damage of 4. To assign damage to the enemy, look at the NPC's card's armor value, and then use a clear cube token as reference on the NPC health card. Check the NPC's cards for reference of their actions. NPC's resolve order are equals to first, level, indicated by color and light icon on the NPC card, then followed by size, then type, and last, stand number. There are 3 sizes, boss, mutant, and critter, represented by rank icons on the NPC cards. Types are either ranged or melee, where ranged acts first. Use the NPC guide cards for quick overview to what the NPC does. The Racitor acts first, with a kinetic ranged attack of 3 damage and 3 in range. NPC attacks are instantaneous and causes damage directly without an attack roll. Since you have 1 in shield value, you get to roll 1 shield die. Results of 1 to 2 equals that much in defense, and 3 to 6 equals no protection. Assigning the damage by subtracting the value from your armor indication dice. The Racitor has an attack move action. First it will attack with 4 damage. Use Marauder's instant action card, Brace, to increase your shield value by 2. Whenever an enemy NPC has a move value higher than 1 and are within 1 hex of its priority target, it will cause a shove movement, repositioning its target backwards at the cost of 1 movement value. It then uses its last move to get closer to its target. Marauder's Take Cover ability lets you place special breakable barrel tokens on the game board that gives cover only to you. Racitor's line of sight is now blocked by the barrel tokens. This is calculated by 1 hex corner to the same hex corner of the target. You get +1 shield value for every time the line of sight is broken by an object or wall. You roll 6 shield dices, and results are a total of 4 and take no damage. It then tries to move, but its path is blocked. NPCs always try to move in a straight line and only stray from that path once. Since it hasn't moved already, its first straight path becomes the adjacent hex, and then turns once to move to the other hex. Hold it, player. Your health is looking low. Better use your nanobot repair on the player board. This is an instant action but cannot be used to stop you from dying. Therefore use it strategically and keep an eye on your health at all time. Indicate the use with a clear cube token and refill your missing armor value by 5. Ranged attack cards from guns gets penalties when firing at a target that are too close. Utilize the dodge card and reposition yourself while still being able to hit the target. That's not good. 1 damage is not enough to kill it. Now is a great time to utilize your R.A.A.D ability, which stands for ribonucleic acid adrenaline drug. It will help you unleash a powerful attack. Declare its usage and roll the R.A.A.D die, then discard that many cards. You can now reroll any attack dice rolls. Let's leave a 1 and reroll the others. You can now keep rolling any rolled value of 0s, but watch out, if your next roll is only 0s, it means you cranked up too much, and it will cancel the action completely. Good, you killed it. As a reward you get experience points equal to its level, and credits equal to its level +1. Use the credit card to track the credits on your Warpgrifter and experience with the EXP die on the player board. You're low on attack cards, it's time to reload. Use a movement action to get out of harm's way from the R.A.A.D, and then the extra action icon, Reload, to retrieve attack cards. When reloading, you get to retrieve up to 2 attack cards, plus 1 for every point assigned to tech upgrade in Grit. Use a melee attack to finish the R.A.A.D, and then the quick reset, extra action icon, to retrieve non-attack cards. When all NPCs in a room are killed, exchange the standard token on the WarpGriT symbol in the room panel to a WarpGriT token. During Quick Reset, you get up to 2 non-attack cards plus 1 extra card for every point assigned to the Energy Tech upgrade. During a reload or a reset, you can equip items at the cost of 1 less retrieved card, which we can use to equip the armor. Now fetch the utility card, it will come in handy for the next round. When standing next to the room panel that has a WarpGriT token on the WarpGriT symbol, you can use the utility card to unlock or lock any orange lasers of your choosing connected to that room. It's time for a full reset. This is done by not playing any cards during setup. This will let you retrieve 6 cards of any action cards plus 1 additional card for every point assigned to the Energy Tech upgrade. You can use the utility card next to your player spawn portal in order to access it, which also acts as your extraction point. Here you can store items, credits, and level up your Warpgrifter. You can also access the extraction shop where you can sell any item and buy level 1 item shop cards. You will also retrieve all discarded action cards, all R.A.A.D cards, replenish all nano repair bots, remove all status effects, and repair all lost armor value. When you're inside the extraction point, you can initiate a Warpout extraction that will resolve at the end of the next round. You now know the basic of the WarpGriT arena. Good luck, sir. Remember to keep the viewers engaged, and the corporation will take good care of you in return.